YSF. Today we'll be holding our sixth forum titled Feral Children, and it will be presented by Miss Razana.
Okay, thank you, Shafina. First of all, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. So, my name is Razana binti Abdurrajab from L6A. So, as you know, today I'll be talking about feral children. In this talk, you will know what is feral children, how is it going to affect us in the future. So, in my talk, I will include with definition, what is the definition of feral child, or how is it origin, or the origin. Secondly, I will talk about the aims, my objectives, types of feral child, and lastly, feral children discovered. So, moving to my point of definition, what is a feral child? But most importantly, what is a feral? So, feral means wild, as in they are not being controlled. Another term of feral child is that it's a case study of children that is being neglected by their parents at a very young age, and some even raised by animals. These pictures represent movies, animated movies that are based on feral children cases. And this picture shows a child that is being abandoned by their parents. Another definition of a feral child in sociology is that which an individual has lived in isolation, unaware and unexposed to human social behavior. So, I'm moving to the aims. What is our aim knowing about this feral child? What would you get from knowing about this feral child? So, our aim is that to prevent from this act from happening in the future. What would our future would be if this act is happening? So, my objective today is that I'm trying to alert people that this kind of situation exists in our world, even today. Types of feral child. In this content, I will talk about how does the feral child become? How are they created? How are they formed? There are basically two types. One is raised by animals. As you can see, these three movies are based on the act of feral children. From the movie of Jungle Book, Mowgli is being raised by wolves and also bears. In this movie, it shows that Sherman is being raised by Mr. Peabody, who is a dog. And the last picture is Tarzan. Basically, he is being raised by a gorilla. So, the second one is isolated. The isolated children are not only that they are being neglected, they can be abused. Some are abused verbally, physically, and some are being isolated in their own rooms. So, lastly, I will talk about feral child discovery. Feral child case studies happened before the 21st century and after 21st century. The case that happened before 21st century is that this girl, Jeannie, at first she was being isolated, in which she is being locked in a room without water, heat, and electricity. And also she's been abused by her father for 13 years by hitting her with a stick if she spoke, or she even made a sound. Sometimes he would strap her in a chair. However, after she's been discovered, the authorities found that she has a mind of 13-year-old baby. She could not walk properly or even stand properly as normal as we do. The only phrases that is famous in her vocabulary is that, "Stop it," or "No more." After she's been treated by the authorities, she only learned to speak by using sign language, and she would express her feelings using drawings. These pictures here are the original pictures that is found in that year of her discovery. This picture is found after she's been given to a new foster family. This picture shows that her doctor, Dr. Phil, helps her walking. As you know before, after she's being discovered by authorities, she will walk in a bunny walk. Basically, a bunny walk happens when she put her hands up front as if they were paws of a bunny, and her feet or her legs will crouch lower down because due to the condition she is strapped to a potty chair. This is the original potty chair she's been trapped for 13 years, and this is her bed during the 13 years of held captive. Other than Jeannie, a famous one is Amala Kamala. They are both girls, and they were found in India in 1960. Both of them are raised by wolves. Both of them are not sisters, but they are found together. And another one of the famous feral child case is that Oksana Malaya. She is being isolated by her alcoholic parents, and she is left being raised by her dog at their own backyard. So that case was before the 21st century. How about 21st century? Maybe some of you don't know that this act happened in our generation. The famous one after 21st century is this boy. He doesn't have a name, but he is usually generally called the Russian bird boy. He is found at the age of 7 by their neighbor, held in a bird cage surrounded by birds, and he would constantly chirp at the people to communicate, and sometimes flaps his wings. Flaps his hand as if they were wings of a bird. Another one that's recently happened, not long before 2015, is that Danielle Crockett. She is discovered in 2010. She is represented by Oprah, being one of the latest feral child cases happening in our generation. So, as a summary, is that feral child is the act of child that is being neglected and some even being raised by animals. So, as you know, before I end this talk, is that as humans, we should not do this type of crime. If we do this type of crime, what would happen to our generation? What would happen to our future? So, I hope that this talk would open your eyes and will make you aware that this situation happens. And I hope that to see that in the future, this act will be abolished. With that, I end with this. Thank you. So if you have any questions, you can ask.
Are there any feral children in Brunei?
No, but the recent case study is found in Malaysia.
Okay.
A 4-year-old kid is being held in an apartment for 6 months without electricity, heat, and water. The parents are being held in jail at this time, and the kid is being taken to a foster family.
I have a question. How does it scientifically possible animals can raise children or human in that case?
It's the same act as the mother teaching a child. Such as wolves, they have the instinct, the instinct of a mother, sometimes or a father. They would protect any child of theirs. So since some of the animals found the kids wandering around, the sense of sympathy will be there towards that animal, and usually the animal would, with any circumstances, would take care of that child. In making that child will be physically and mentally thinking that they are the same species as the mother figure of their life. Yes?
Can you tell us more about the last girl that was found in 2010?
Danielle Crockett?
Yes.
Okay, she is basically being abused by her father due to the fact that at that time she was the last person to contact with her grandmother. Basically, the father hates Danielle because she was the last person to communicate with the grandmother, and the son, as the father, is upset that Danielle didn't tell anything because the father is also an alcoholic and is determined to find the money of the bank account, the money of the grandmother. So the father thought that Danielle held a secret of where that money is kept, so he would constantly abuse her and put her in a room for 6 months or so, 6 years. And then one day, the mother decided to stand up and protect her child. She informed the police, and that report happens to reach until Oprah. Oprah represented her in one of her shows and making her case as one of the awareness of stating that this fact of feral child happening in our time. So, any more questions? If there's no more questions, then I hope that in the future that this act of feral child will never ever happen again. Because if this happens, our society and our future will be horrible. Thank you.
I have to stop you all before going. A few things that I want to tell all of you guys. We have a blog, obviously. It's this one. P10 Youth Science Forum.wordpress.com. You can go visit that website for updates on upcoming talks, or perhaps if you would like to recall on previous talks, it's all on this website. We also have a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram account, all under the same name, P10YSF. No space and no cats. We also have our first newsletter. It's very colorful, it's very nice. We're not distributing physical copies. Okay. The digital, but we do have the digital newsletter also on the blog. We just updated it recently. So if you want to check it out, it's just nothing much. It's just about the Youth Science Symposium taking place earlier this year. So everything about it is here. There's also a little about our Youth Science Forum. So you can read everything up in that blog website. I think that's all. Thank you for coming.